You or a family member has been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and used talcum powder prior to the diagnosis. Call Talcum Powder Help Now today at 800-833-0112. You may be entitled to substantial compensation. The consultation is free and you'll pay nothing unless there is a recovery in your favor. Don't fight this alone. If you or a loved one used talcum baby powder-based products before being diagnosed or died from ovarian cancer, call Talcum Powder Help Now at 800-833-0112. 800-833-0112. 800-833-0112.
Paid for by Bar Justice.
Chances are there'll never be an emergency ever again. But just in case, let's talk about a plan.
Okay.
Who is going to grab the go bag?
What's a go bag? It is a bag we do not have that is filled with things we really, really need in an emergency.
Guess we won't have to worry about it then.
Well, this is great. I am so glad that we don't have a plan.
I know.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Fox Sports Radio 1400, WCOS Columbia, an iHeart radio station.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
Finally, Clemson Sports Talk has come back to Drive Time. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back in the saddle once again. It is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk for you each and every afternoon as you make your way around the great state of South Carolina and beyond, listening to us on wonderful radio stations like Fox Sports Radio 1400 in the Midlands, Sports Radio 100.1 The Fan in Florence, at 9:20 a.m. in Manning. Good to be with you. Thank you for hanging out with us. Like, share, subscribe, do all of those things. And again, tell your friends and neighbors and even your friends' neighbors about the show that shakes the Southland. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. That is the phone number. You can call it, leave us a message. You can text us as well. I'm not going to lie to you. I got a little bored this weekend with Clemson and Georgia Tech. We'll hear from Dabo Swinney coming up, Jonathan Rifkin in hour number 1, William Qualkenbush in hour number 2. I got a little bored with Clemson and Georgia Tech. And I've learned some things this past weekend. First off, I learned that at some point in the midst of a blowout, you cross the threshold of getting back interested in the ballgame. And that point becomes when you hit 70-ish and you start thinking, ooh, could they get to 80? Could they get to 90? I mean, that's what I started. I mean, that's when I kind of picked my interest back up in the Clemson game this weekend. 73-7, folks. Sign the extension. Get it done today. Lock up Dabo Swinney. You said, what do you mean? Well, 117 years ago, Clemson beat Georgia Tech 73-7. And before we do it, our coach, John Heisman, was their coach, and they were kicking the mess out of Clemson for an extended period of time. So, yeah, this is the sign the extension edition. But Dabo makes a ton of money, Swanee. I don't care. Sign him up. You can't have him coaching the Yellow Jackets. Can't have him going all John Heisman on us. 73-7. Unbelievable. Laughable. But again, about 73, I went, oh, okay, here we go. Let's see what these guys can do. Then Will Spires in at quarterback. Hunter Helms delivering 2 scoring drives. Tyson Pumachan breaks a finger in his non-throwing hand. DJ Uwe Ungalale did not play because of stiffness in his shoulder. And Clemson was so far ahead, they were just able to skip right over DJ. Just go right to Tyson, Pumachan. We'll hear from Dabo Swinney in just a little bit. South Carolina, I owe you an apology. When I say South Carolina, of course, I mean the Gamecocks. I didn't think it'd be close. I had South Carolina getting beat somewhere in the neighborhood of 35-10. I clearly have more faith in Bo Nix, or had more faith in Bo Nix than I need to. So Gamecock Nation, don't sing it, bring it.
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm not a kid.
30-22. Final score. South Carolina. Bo Nix, atrocious. I mean, even up to the last play where you're down by 8 and you don't even throw the ball. I mean, and look, I have played exactly 0 snaps at quarterback collegiately, which means I am, well, winless and also undefeated as a quarterback. But I would think down 8 on the final play of the game, I got to at least throw the ball. I have to at least throw it. What at that point, what does it matter? What is the worst that could happen? But I could throw an interception. Yeah. They could even return that interception for verse 6. Sure. Throw the ball, man. People were covered. I don't care. I do not care if every defensive back, seriously, I don't care if every defensive back for the South Carolina Gamecocks was literally on top of every Auburn wide receiver. You have to throw the ball in the final play. You cannot get sacked. Shi Smith doing Shi Smith things for the Gamecocks all weekend. 8 receptions, 76 yards, and a score. I think Colin Hill at quarterback for South Carolina allowed them to not get unsettled in that ball game. Allowed them to sort of stay the course, not panic. That's what a senior does for you. Bo Nix, horrible. 24-47, 272, a touchdown and 3 picks. Awful. Chad Morris, awful. The whole thing. And then I have to question, well, how bad is Chad Morris? Chad Morris goes from SMU to Arkansas in the following year. Sonny Dykes comes in at SMU. Things are rolling. Things are still kind of rolling for SMU. But those are Chad Morris's players. Goes to Arkansas. They stink it up. He's fired at Arkansas. This year, Arkansas playing much better than I think most people expected. The Razorbacks winning this weekend 33-21 over Ole Miss. Arkansas literally a fumble by Bo Nix a week ago where you just wonder, were they protecting Auburn? Because that's absolutely a backwards pass, which is absolutely a fumble. Arkansas would be 3-1 this year. Those are Chad Morris's players. And I get it. Different head coach. I understand. But no matter how you slice it, Chad Morris's teams seem to win when he leaves. I don't know what that means. Is that about Chad? Is that about the teams? Is that about his recruits not getting enough time? Clemson this weekend, Trevor Lawrence. I tip my cap. 5 touchdowns, 404 yards passing, 24-32. 1 pick, came up shy. The announcer jinx, if you will. The announcer jinx got him. The guys in the booth pass it down to Marty Smith. Marty Smith says something along the lines of, well, fellas, I got to tell you, Trevor Lawrence is about the best quarterback since sliced bread. We have not seen a quarterback play at this level in the history of college football, pro football, in this universe. And then all of a sudden, interception.
Holy crap, I am freaking out.
Why? Just be quiet. Don't jinx the man, Marty.
I've been wrongfully accused.
No, you haven't. It's on you, Marty Smith. Trevor Lawrence has no picks on the season. Marty Smith has one. 803-450-0086. Linda says, hey, Swanee. Hey, Linda. Hope you're looking well. Doing well. That is weird. Linda, you and Paul have the same little icon. Kind of messing my brain up. Paul says, Swanee, if the starters had stayed in, they could have put up 100. I mean, would anybody have a problem had Clemson done that to a team that scored 222 points against Cumberland? Would that have bothered anybody had that happened? I mean, if there is a team in college football that I think you could score over 100 points against and not catch a lot of flack for, it's probably the 222 point scoring Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Am I right?
Okie dokie.
I think I am. The Tigers scored 17 in the first. If that wasn't good enough for you, 35 in the second quarter, 7 in the third, and 14 in the fourth. Congratulations to Hunter Helms. Double H. That's what I'm going to call him. if Hunter Helms, if only on the sidelines, Hunter Helms had taken a swig of water, spread his arms out, and then misted that water into the air like Hunter Hearst Helmsley does. That's the only thing that could have made my day any better. Double H with 2 touchdown passes for your Clemson Tigers in that ball game. One of them to Ajo, the freakishly talented freshman dancer who also in his spare time has moves on the field as well, we learned. We've known about his high pointing the football. We've known about his vertical. We've known about his ability to go up and bring it in. We've seen his dance moves. Then we saw him in the open field with a little shenanigan. 73-7. Clemson over Georgia Tech this past weekend. Ironically, a tie game at one point, not at 0-0. At 7-7. And did you have a moment? Did you have a moment, Tiger Nation, where when Georgia Tech tied it up, by the way, like, share, subscribe, do all those things, host a watch party, if you will. Did you have that moment when Georgia Tech tied it up where you went, oh, we are in for a matchup today? Like you leaned in a little bit on the television. Here we go. These boys are going to challenge us. Jeff Sims, Swanee talked about him this week. This kid's he's got a chance, man. He's mobile. His this wide receiver downfield. Yeah, it didn't really pan out for the Yellow Jackets. That reception, by the way, by Jalen Camp, his only reception of the day, went for 59 yards in the score. Mario Goodrich in coverage on the play, didn't have help on the inside. That's a guy cut across the middle of the field. Brent Venables said that's on Mario. He's got to have the right leverage. Got to play with the right technique. Amari Rogers with a big day, 6 receptions, 161 yards and 2 scores, really becoming a leader for this team, and I think he has been for a while, but this year you really feel it, I think, because you don't have Justin Ross out there. Frank Ladson still with the drop C's to a degree. Coach Sweeney addresses that. We'll hear from Coach Sweeney in just a little bit here on the program. Just sort of one of those things he's working his way through. Still feels like, even watching Joseph Ngata with his 1 reception for 6 yards, and he fumbled the ball, you just get the feeling Joseph's not himself yet. Love seeing Cornell Powell. Again, this is a kid I've been talking about since the summer. I was talking about Cornell Powell before people were talking about COVID-19. That's how long I've been talking about Cornell Powell. 4 receptions, 50 yards, and a score. Yeah, it's one of the it's kind of become one of the storylines I think for Clemson this year is that while you watch the weaponry of Alabama at wide receiver this past Saturday against the Georgia Bulldogs, you look at Clemson and you kind of recognize what they're missing with Justin Ross being out and then Ngata not being healthy. But the positive side of that is, one, you're beginning to see tight end play be accentuated, which I know is key for this team down the road. Davis Allen, 3 receptions, 67 yards and a score, wide open down the middle. They fake the toss sweep. Linebackers bite on that. And then me and you and, heck, you could probably walk your dog into the end zone, into the gaping hole that Davis Allen caught that reception in. Linda says she loves seeing Braden Galloway score. He's got such a bad rep from last year. Yeah, I think that, Galloway, and again, more so last weekend with the opportunities that he had to get into the end zone, but I support your narrative on Linda, on that young man, partially because I think that the whole deal with him and the Osterine was just a bad deal for the guys. It was just a bad deal for the players. And a young guy like that to have lost a year, and I got this guy on social media arguing with me left and right. Jim thinks that players can't play the entire season this year. Jim, do some homework, buddy. Players can play the entire season in 2020. He said, you're getting articles that are old. The article was from 5 days ago, Jim. They didn't change the legislation, Jim. It's been the same. Braden Galloway is going to be one of the biggest benefactors from this rule, Jim. Jim, you know what? I'm starting to think you might be like one of these Russian trolls or whatever you call them on social media.
Oh, wise guy.
Yeah, no, I'm wise to you, Jim. Old stories. Yeah, that 5-day-old story, that thing is ancient. And it all goes back to why he thought DJ Ungala didn't play this weekend. And that was the initial kind of thought. I was like, okay, well, Tyson's going out there. That's good. Then it comes out that DJ's got a little shoulder stiffness. That happens when you're a big guy, 245-pound quarterback, and you lay the lumber when you carry the biscuit. That'll happen to you from time to time. I guarantee you. Just ask Big Trev, the Giant Killer. You've seen him get wiser in his experience, doing what he can to get out of bounds, doing what he can to get down, slide. Nothing wrong with sliding. Nothing wrong with sliding at all. But a big weekend in Atlanta for the Tigers, not a big weekend in Atlanta for the Braves. And I know they weren't playing in Atlanta, but oh my gracious. Come on, Braves fans. This is a painful one.
Just a bit outside.
Yes, it was all weekend. Nothing gets me down more than seeing a loaded roster like the Los Angeles Dodgers in a sport that I really don't care to love knock out a team that I do root for. You got to pull for the Tampa Bay Rays. You got to pull for the Rays, man. I mean, they're. If my memory serves me correct, and you can feel free to be a corrector in the chat room. Or you can text us 803-450-0086. The text line is the phone line. If you're watching, don't worry about that number. Worry about this one. That's the one you could call and text. 803-450-0086. And I don't care where you're listening, when you're listening, or how you're listening. I believe the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, or the Tampa Bay Rays, have one of, if not the most fiscally sound rosters in Major League Baseball. If that's right, if I'm correct, you have to root for them. You have to root for the underdogs. You have to root for the small roster. You got to root for the small market. If you're a Los Angeles Dodger fan, because you've always been a Los Angeles Dodger fan, you can root for your team. But everybody else needs to root against you. And I would say the same thing as this, if this was the Los Angeles Lakers, my team, facing off against a small market opponent in the NBA Finals. I say, listen, the rest of America, you need to be rooting against Los Angeles. So I can say that about the MLB. But hate it for the Braves. Hate it for the Braves. All right, coming up, he's never been a guest on this program. But a good buddy of ours, Jonathan Rifkin, lives on the left coast. He's out west, San Diego, some city that I'd probably love to be in right now. And he's going to give us some thoughts on what he's seen from college football across the country. Stay with us.
Here's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword BANK to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's BANK to 200-200.
Now, Columbia's dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Traffic tie-ups this afternoon include Circle at Powell Road, also a wreck on Bickley at Dutch Fork. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line numbers 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina Service Benefit Plan. They say The Blue Cross and Blue Shield Service Benefit Plan packs a wallop. Learn more at fepblue.org. We've been standing beside federal employees since 1960.
Group training is a fun, accountable way to get in shape. I'm Coach Stewart of Dynamic Health and Fitness. Come train with one of our special groups today. We will focus on giving you the support you need to get in shape. We use the Dynamic Mob, featuring intervals of cardio, functional training, and strength training to change your lifestyle to make you healthy. Get started today at any of our locations in Lexington or West Columbia, or call 803-408-4060 or online at dynamichealthclub.com.
When a community grows, its hospital should grow too. And that's just what we're doing at Lexington Medical Center. We recently launched the largest hospital expansion project in South Carolina history. Our new 10-story patient tower will help us take better care of patients, including the tiniest infants who need special attention. It will also make room for the growing number of patients who need surgery and intensive care. At Lexington Medical Center, our mission to serve our community never wavers. We're here when you need us today, and we'll be there when you need us tomorrow.
I'm Jamie Harrison, candidate for the United States Senate, and I approve this message.
Before you vote, know the facts about who's on the ballot. Lindsey Graham can't be trusted. He tells us he opposes abortion, then votes for two of Obama's pro-choice Supreme Court justices. Lindsey Graham's word is worthless. But beware, right-wing Constitution Party candidate Dr. Bill Bledsoe is also on the ballot. He talks about owning a small business and rescuing bald eagles. But Bledsoe opposes all abortions, and Bledsoe never wavered on Donald Trump. He supported Trump from day one. Bledsoe held gun rallies across South Carolina, claiming that any gun control law infringes upon the Second Amendment and the rights of citizens to arm and defend themselves. Dr. Bill Bledsoe, no abortions, no restrictions on guns, and pro-Trump from day one. Bill Bledsoe's just too conservative for South Carolina. Paid for by Jamie Harrison for U.S. Senate.
Sharing has never meant as much as it does now. We share the things we love most in life for the world to see. But what if we could actually do more with our sharing than just collect likes? What if this sharing could be used to make a difference? Now there's a place where we can put all that sharing to good use. The National MS Society is asking people to make a difference and share what they love with someone else who loves it too. Whether it's surfing, dancing, or whatever is important to you, we've created a place that'll help you get your experience out to the world. If you have a story, share it. If you have a solution, share that too. Join us at wearestrongerthanms.org, because together we are stronger.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show in the chat room at clemsonsportstalk.com.
It is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you. Clemson Larry, our off-site engineer, says, Swanee, there were some cracks and some pops in the opening segment. Larry, I've adjusted. You let me know, my man, how we doing, how we sounded. All right, so Jonathan Rifkin, you guys don't know him. He's never been on this program, but he's a good buddy of mine who does a lot of great recruiting work. As a matter of fact, he's doing some recruiting work for us over at ClemsonSportsTalk.com. But he lives on the West Coast. You might say, what do you mean? You got a guy, Swanee, who covers recruiting for you, but he lives on the West Coast. How in the world does that make any sense? I don't care where the juice is made. Listen, we're in the modern era. Jonathan Rifkin can jump on the phone with these guys and knock out recruiting articles left and right. So he joins us here on a Monday afternoon to talk a little bit about the world of college football, and more specifically joins us to give us a fresh take from the West Coast perspective, which I'm excited about because the Pac-12's not playing ball yet. The Big Ten hasn't been playing ball. And anytime we can get out of the region and talk a little ball, I like to do it. Jonathan, what's up, big guy?
Hey, Lawton. Appreciate you having me on. I'm excited to be on with you. There's a lot going on, and out here on the West Coast, I heard you talk about how everybody needs to root for the Rays, but my Dodger fan constituency isn't super happy about that.
I guarantee you, listen, it doesn't go over well when the Atlanta Braves lose in the state of South Carolina and Georgia or even Alabama, believe me. But at least they've got college football to keep their eyeballs on with the Tide and the Tigers and everybody. So give it to us straight. It's been interesting for sure for you. There's no what we would call late night games because you guys aren't playing out west. You've had a chance to really fixate and focus on the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12. Just sort of some of your early takeaways from the 2020 college football campaign.
Sure, absolutely. The Big 12 gives me hope as a Pac-12 fanatic with the inability to play defense and some of the spotty quarterback play. I think that it opens up the door for two ACC teams to make the college football playoff, whether that be Notre Dame and Clemson, a Pac-12 team, or two SEC teams. But what I've seen so far from the SEC is a lackluster defensive effort, right? We saw last week Ole Miss put up 46 points against Nick Saban's defense, and when they walked off the field, Lane Kiffin goes, I thought you played defense at Alabama, right? So Auburn losing to Georgia and Kentucky was pretty bad. Or excuse me, they beat Kentucky, almost lost Kentucky. Losing to Georgia in the last week as well was really bad. Florida hasn't been great. And to be honest with you, the ACC to me was the most entertaining up to last week when Florida State beat Miami, or excuse me, when Florida State beat UNC.
Yeah.
We knew Clemson was going to be phenomenal. Syracuse hasn't been good. Boston College, actually, I think has been a little bit better, even though they had a close win against Arkansas State a few weeks ago. Duke has been abysmal. I mean, Chase Bryce, where are you at, buddy? I lost like $120 on Duke a couple weeks ago. I'm never betting Duke again. So I think that with Miami, with UNC, and with Clemson, the ACC overall has been the most exciting conference, and Notre Dame, of course. The SEC is fun to watch because there's some innovation of the air raid and a lot of West Coast influence, which I absolutely love, which has basically taken its claim in the SEC. But yeah, I mean, I think right now the ACC to me has been the most entertaining of the big three playing. And the Big 12 with their, Oklahoma State being the last undefeated team, Shane Illingworth, a phenomenal freshman quarterback out there leading the helm. I don't think that they're going to go undefeated. It's going to be a spot open for the Pac-12 to get into the college football playoff now.
All right, so I want to ask you about Alabama and Georgia for a second because the Bulldogs only fell a spot after losing that game. But to me, Stetson Bennett, 5'11", 190 pounds, dripping wet, is not an impressive quarterback. I don't think he's going to help navigate Georgia the way maybe a Jamie Newman would have. What are your thoughts on the Bulldogs right now, and their stature in college football still holding in that top 4 after a loss?
I think it's just because we haven't seen what happens in the Big Ten. There's no reason for. I don't think there's a reason right now for Georgia to be a top 5 team. I know, they have some convincing early season wins, but what we've learned early in this season is that we're facing extenuating circumstances, situationally and also athletically, with players opting out and different players, being eligible and not eligible. And in Georgia's situation, the whole quarterback. Just the situation scenario, for lack of a better term, just hasn't been there, right? And everybody's okay. Well, is JT Daniels clear? Is JT Daniels not clear? And he's finally clear. He doesn't get the start, and they lose. And the question is, okay, well, do you trust him enough? Because to be honest with you, I think Stetson is really good. I think that the learning curve for him is going to be a lot strong or a lot bigger than people realize. Another thing too is you're playing in the SEC. You're playing in a conference where you're inherently, as a quarterback, or you should be perennially, at a disadvantage because the defenses are better in the SEC than anywhere else in the country. So the learning curve, I think, from his standpoint, is a little bit larger. So I do think that we're going to see JT a little bit, maybe starting next week with Georgia. I don't necessarily know if he's the answer. I know that defense needs to play better up front. There was too much time in the pocket last week for Mac Jones to get his passes off, and they need to do a better job with that nickel blitz. I'm not upset that Georgia is in the top 5. They lost to Alabama, who you can make a case is the number 2 team in the nation right now, just despite what happened against Ole Miss, even though they pulled away with the win. So we just haven't seen enough from the Pac-12. We haven't seen enough from we haven't seen anything from those 2 conferences. And the Big 12 has been disappointing. So, you couple that with the ACC having UNC losing to Florida State and the Miami loss to Clemson, it makes sense that the SEC does have 2 top 5 teams right now, I think.
Yeah, this past weekend, Clemson just looked tremendous, 73-7. I know it's just Georgia Tech, but we got about a minute, Jonathan. Do you have time if I put you on hold to hang on with us for another segment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, real quick, just give me some initial reaction to seeing Clemson light up the scoreboard the way they did. We got a minute.
Oh, they're incredible, man. I mean, look, you and I spoke prior to your show. I said, Clemson, there's nobody that's going to touch Clemson. I stand by that. Georgia Tech is not a bad team. If you go back and you watch the first 3 games that they played, they are not a bad team. They're recruiting well. They have young quarterbacks. They have a young coaching staff. They're going to be good in the future. This was a game where Clemson made them look like, the bottom of the FCS. It was a really, really bad game, but it's more of a testament to Clemson. The depth you talked about earlier, and it's opened the show about the quarterback depth that they had. DJ didn't even play. This team is scary. The defense is incredible. Everybody knows their position. The offense is well ran and efficient. I don't know a team in college football, and even with 2 big conferences not playing, that is as efficiently run, as well-rounded, and as consistent as Clemson is.
Jonathan Rifkin here on Clemson Sports Talk. Follow him on Twitter at Jonathan Riff, RIFKIND. Go follow him right now. We're going to put Jonathan on hold. We'll hit a quick break. We'll come back with more of the show that shakes the Southland.
When you get in your car, you need the best directions to get where you want to be.
Will arrive at your retirement in 8
The same is true for your retirement. You need a voice to guide you along the way. Join Pat Struby for Save Your Retirement with Pat Struby. Pat's 18 years of experience can help make your retirement journey feel like a drive down easy street.
Arriving at your retirement.
Saturdays, 6 a.m. on Fox Sports Radio, and Saturdays at noon and Sundays at 9 on 560 WVOC for Save Your Retirement with Pat Struby.
For all your plumbing problems and needs, On Call Plumbing, Heating, and Air is here to help. Available 24/7 to serve you with trained technicians, not trained salespeople. Whether your plumbing job is large or small, it's the right job for On Call. Receive installations, repairs, and everything in between from the company you can trust to do it right. On Call is your locally owned and operated plumbing company. Go to OnCallSC.com.
On Call Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Pick up the phone and we'll be right there. Call 781-HELP.
Here's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword BANK to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's BANK to 200-200.
Now the forecast from the $1,500 instant rebate AAA Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Lottery. Check out Double Your Million, the new $10 scratch off with a top prize of $1 million. But that's not all. Enter your non-winning tickets into the second chance drawing for a chance to win up to $2 million. It's twice as nice. See SCEducationLottery.com for details.
Dad, this is fun.
I didn't think I liked kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm gonna return the kayak. Just make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a taxi? 233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your neighborhood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I opened a 401k.
So you're giving up? Just like that?
Giving up on what?
I'm getting an inheritance from a distant relative.
Don't you think if there were a billionaire in the family, we'd know about it by now?
Listen to me. We are one phone call away from riding horses on our own private polo grounds. One call from christening yachts, having a butler, using summer as a verb.
How do you figure?
Look, everyone's got a rich uncle somewhere. It's statistics. So the best thing you can do is just prepare for the inevitable.
Right, which is why I thought maybe it would be smart to take control of my finances. You know, start using a budget, get out of debt, set some retirement goals.
Budgets? Debt? You watch your mouth. Retirement shouldn't be a goal for us. It should be a way of life.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Serving Columbia at 1400. And the world on the iHeartRadio app.
Indeed, we are back on a Monday afternoon. It is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan with you on the guest line. My good buddy Jonathan Rifkind from the West Coast. Jonathan, all right, so you mentioned Clemson and their stature and kind of where you think they are. Does it change at all with Ohio State coming online here this weekend? I mean, are they the real threat to the Tigers so far, in your opinion?
That's a great question, Lawton. Here's my problem. I try not to be hot takey. I got accused of it a lot in college. I think it got to me a little bit, and so I try to be a little bit more informed. And look, I have my moments, right? We're all sports media personalities. We have our moments of incitement. We have our moments that we're passionate about. But I'm not ready to sit here and say that Ohio State, because I haven't seen them play, with all the extenuating circumstances surrounding the season and the mental fortitude of these players being an unknown, I'm not ready to say that Ohio State is the team that's threatening Clemson, because we haven't seen them. Because Oklahoma had a similar narrative surrounding it, right? Yeah. Even though we didn't see Spencer Rattler play prior in a competitive college football game, we knew that he was going to be pretty good. We knew that this Lincoln Riley team was going to be really good. What we didn't know is that the extenuating circumstances surrounding the season was going to ill-prepare them for the Big 12 play, and especially that Kansas State game where they really blew it and sort of set the precedent for the rest, at least to this point of the season, for Oklahoma. And because of that, and same with Texas too, right? Sam Ehlinger is giving me a Jake Fromm complex where everybody's really high on him. I just don't see it, though. I think he's talented. I think he'll be in the NFL. I don't know what his ceiling is, but I think he has a pretty low floor, and that concerns me. And so I'm approaching Ohio State the same way. They have the talent. They have a great coach in Ryan Day, and they have a track record up to this point that should lead you to believe that they could be competitive, or they should be competitive against Clemson. But because of the situation surrounding the Big Ten, especially the Big Ten, because this conference has gone through more than any other conference in the college football season over the course of the pandemic, right? And I think that will have a residual effect, at least from the onset of play. And I think Ohio State's in the best position to go out and win of any of these teams through these circumstances. But it's still the Big Ten. Penn State is still a good football team. Michigan is still a good football team. Michigan State has its moments. Wisconsin's going to be good. Minnesota's going to be good. So I'm not ready to sit here and say that Ohio State is going to force Clemson off the throne. But on paper and with the storyline surrounding the team, I understand why a lot of people are thinking that way.
How hard, in your opinion, is it going to be for the Big Ten? Do you think it'll be difficult for them to play enough games to really be considered for the college football playoff?
No, I think that the college football playoff this season, and we've heard Larry Scott, the commissioner of the Pac-12, go on live national radio and talk about how he wants expansion. We've heard Kevin Warren, the commissioner of the Big Ten, talk about it very, very briefly when they came back to play. He said there was one very brief moment where he said that he was considering a proposal to make to the college football playoff committee. I think it ended up being swept under the rug. We never heard about it again from the Big Ten. If the Pac-12 can get away with playing 6 or 7 games, absolutely the Big Ten is going to get away with playing 6 to 8 games. I think that they can, and especially this season, right? They took away the bowl eligibility rules. You don't have to play to win a minimum of 6 games anymore to go and play in a bowl game this season, because there are going to be teams that are missing games. There are going to be schedules that are all messed up, conference to conference, reschedule games, what have you. And all of those things become a factor when considering these teams. And I don't think it's fair based on local city, local, state, regional, federal officials and state guidelines, because each school's in a different situation. And so I don't think that it's going to actually limit the Big Ten from getting a team in. What it does is it actually reduces your ability to go out and get big wins, right? If Ohio State loses a really close game to a ranked Wisconsin team, well, now they have less opportunity for retribution to try and convince the rest of the country that they deserve a spot in the college football playoff. So from that aspect, I think it hurts them. But I don't think that playing fewer games than the Big 12, the ACC, or the SEC would actually hurt the conference in general for getting a team into the college football playoff.
Jonathan Rifkin with us here on Clemson Sports Talk, giving us a look at college football from the West Coast perspective. He's out there in California taking a look back east. You brought up Oklahoma. I'm going to give you a couple of more teams. LSU, Auburn. Who's been the most disappointing this year, in your opinion, so far of those 3 teams?
Oklahoma. I love Auburn. Bo Nix's first game, he beat my Oregon Ducks on that touchdown pass to win 28-27. He gets the soft cover too. And from then on, you knew that guy had the tangibles. I love Cadillac Williams. I think that amongst being a great recruiter, he is one of the best. He probably has the best recruiting name in the nation out of Auburn. And so I think Auburn's great. Obviously, we know about the coaching staff and the history there. I'm a little bit disappointed, but the losses haven't been surprises to me. I think last week was a little bit of a surprise, but they've been pretty spotty this season defensively. When you lose, the defensive lineman player of the year, and a lot of really solid defensive pieces, you're going to have a rebuilding stage. And it's really hard to go through a rebuilding stage in the SEC because, unfortunately, you're playing against teams that recruit better than you, that have developed players that are older than you and stronger than you, that have had their feet won the SEC. So for Auburn, I'm not super surprised. I'm sad because I like the program. I'm not super surprised. LSU, again, I love the West Coast influence in the SEC. I'm not mad about them losing a season opener to KJ Costello, the Stanford quarterback transfer, and Mike Leach. It is really embarrassing that Mississippi State has lost the next 2 games and they only put up 1 touchdown pass last week. So that looks really, really bad on LSU's part.
Right.
The Missouri loss was also really bad. The Missouri loss was awful. They had 17 inactive players that game. It's not an excuse. You recruit for depth. You recruit for situations like this where, you have your number 1 and your number 2 defensive backs out. Okay, well, we're still LSU. We still have 2 4-stars on the bench that we can insert in a plug and play, and they're playing Missouri. So realistically, those defensive backs should be able to cover some of the receivers that they're guarding or play the zones that they're supposed to be in, and they just didn't do it, and they lost. So it's upsetting and it's disappointing. But I think Oklahoma, I think the Big 12 is at a position of weakness. Oklahoma was its best chance to carry a national torch this season. They blew it. Oklahoma State is really good. They're a year early, I think, even though they have Chuba Hubbard. So Oklahoma, to me, is the biggest disappointment, especially how they did it, man. Kansas State lost a week before to Arkansas State, and then they go on the road to Oklahoma and win in Sooner Country in front of, 26,000 fans? So Oklahoma, to me, has been the biggest disappointment. And they have the number 1 quarterback in the nation coming to next year in Caleb Williams. And I don't know what they're going to do with him because they have Spencer Rattler for another 3 years, at least, or maybe another 2 years. But I just think that program's in a really interesting spot.
Appreciate it, Jonathan. We got to hit a break, man. Take care, buddy.
No problem, Bob. Thanks for having me on.
Love the insight from the West Coast. Jonathan Rifkin here on the show that shakes the Southland. We'll react to some of that and much more next.
Kirk Commercial Construction is a licensed general contractor in South Carolina. Since 2011, Chris Kirk, a Columbia native with 20 years of construction experience, has believed in meeting his customers' needs. Kirk Commercial Construction is capable of performing any retail or office expansion, new construction, metal building, or commercial renovation work. In addition to Kirk's commercial construction projects, their service division can assist you with commercial and maintenance tasks. If you need it done right, call 803-250-2495 or kirkcommercialconstruction.com.
Let me tell you who I trust to protect my home and my family. Modern Exterminating. Hey, it's Lawton Swan, and when you need top quality service from a team that knows what bugs you, call Modern Exterminating, 765-2315. They're locally owned and offer a full complement of pest elimination services, including complete pest control, termite plans, moisture control, and more. Check out Modern Exterminating online at pestfreesc.com or give them a call today, 765-2315. Modern Exterminating. They know what bugs you.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat and Place, just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat and Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
New appliances mean a family recipe simmering on the stove and fresh sheets in the dryer. At the Home Depot, they also mean saving even more on your next appliance. Like a Hoover Wind Tunnel vacuum. Right now, just $119, delivered free. Bring style and function home with fall savings on your next appliance at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Free standard shipping and residential delivery on most orders over $45 made at homedepot.com. Some exclusions apply. Valid through October 21st, U.S. only.
I'm Malcolm Gladwell.
And I'm Kevin Hart.
And we're both on the new Audible.
You know, the new Audible has Audible originals, right?
And now podcasts, too.
Man, from Shakespeare to The Sandman, Audible has endless content by the greatest minds who ever lived. All in one place.
Are you including us in that statement?
Obviously.
I'm into that.
Check out my new Audible original.
And my new podcast, plus so much more. Head to audible.com to get your first 30 days on us.
Need more to bite in your fright?
The free iHeartRadio app's got the largest selection of spooky podcasts on the planet, featuring 13 Days of Halloween, starring Keegan-Michael Key as the caretaker.
Please make yourself at home.
13 original stories, one per day through Halloween, in 3D audio to place you in the center of the story. Best experienced with headphones. Tap podcasts in the iHeartRadio app to find this and a trick-or-treat bag full of podcasts, sure to make you squirm.
iHeartRadio. There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
Again, if you are watching the show, like, share, subscribe, host a watch party. If you're on Facebook, let's go. You know, I should start setting more goals for this program than I do. And what I mean by that is I typically would just come in, we do the show, much like I would put up a poll question. And a few weeks ago, I was like, hey, we're going to put a poll question up. We want to get 200 people to vote in the poll. Typically, we might get, 50, 60 people to vote in the poll, but I mean, literally, when I asked, it more than doubled. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, I didn't go back or I haven't gone back to double check it. But like, I wonder sometimes if I said, "Hey, let's get 100 people watching the show. You're a part of this." Now I'm peeking behind the curtain. I'm letting you guys see what's going on. Could we do it? Could we get 100 people in here, Gamecocks included?
So you could continue to peek over the fence at the best radio show in the nation.
The late, great Cleveland man there. So what Jonathan had to say about Auburn, I think, is interesting to me after this weekend and really after getting to watch them and knowing the struggles they had against Arkansas a couple of weeks ago in the way Bo Nix played. I mean, look, it's hard for me to put them at a disappointment value higher than Oklahoma right now, because I think a lot of people thought Oklahoma was going to compete for the college football playoff. But man, they got to be up there. That was just ugly this weekend. And kudos to South Carolina. And listen, you got a chance to come in here and shame me all you want. I didn't think you stood a chance in that game, and maybe you shouldn't have. Maybe that says more about Auburn. South Carolina's road doesn't get any easier. We know that, but my goodness. And Clemson on Saturday, I think South Carolina fans who were watching that were thinking, thank goodness we don't have to play the Tigers this year. Again, disappointing that Lawrence's wide receiver, his reception / intercept or pass completion / interception streak came to an end. But that guy can spin the bean. I mean, he can throw the football. Dabo Swinney, we'll hear a little bit from him here in this segment, and then we'll have William Qualkenbush, and we'll hear some more from Dabo coming up in just a little bit. But here's Coach Swinney's initial reaction after having a chance to watch the film on that Georgia Tech game. I guess this was from his Sunday teleconference.
Just recap what we saw yesterday. Film was, what I hoped it would look like, and that was seeing a lot of guys play well, and they did. Guys were focused. Really proud of just the development that I've seen since the Wake Forest game in our team. It was an incredible performance. We've been close to a game like that, but we've not put 4 quarters together. At Wake, we put all of our backups in. We couldn't score. Citadel, it's kind of the same thing. And then against, Miami, we felt like we were close to really blowing a game out, and we just couldn't quite do it. We had a lot of penalties, some missed opportunities. But really, that was our best game, and that was our goal, to play our best game and to play the most complete 4 quarters that we've played. And at halftime, my challenge to the team was this is where our team needs to grow, and guys show and demonstrate that we've improved from the beginning of the year, and I was really pleased with that. So our team's gotten better, our depth has continued to improve, and they played well. Fun to see so many guys play, and I always say great teams get better as they go, and I really sense us improving and learning. Each and every week, our effort has been incredibly good, but a great win at a place that's been really tough to win, historically. So really proud of that. Defensively, we were dominant, really the whole game, and played, everybody that we brought down there had an opportunity to play a lot of snaps. I mean, we had a lot of guys get a lot of real quality snaps that's going to really help us.
Dabo Swinney there talking about Clemson, and I was just checking on social media. DJ Looney, the offensive line coach coming into the season at Louisiana Lafayette, I saw a tweet from that program. I guess they're all going to wear his last name on their jerseys Friday night in their matchup. Of course, they were defeated by Coastal Carolina last week, and that knocked them out of the top 25, but Coach Looney passed away. He had a heart attack in August, I think, or July, August. And so I think they're going to honor him this weekend. That's what I was actually looking at while Dabo Swinney was talking. I think that's really, really awesome. Here in Swinney, though, you talk about the depth of talent, the opportunity for those guys to get out there on the gridiron, there is no question that when you take 80 and 79 play and the one that doesn't is your backup quarterback who's injured his arm or at least has soreness, some tightness, I think that's what you want every time you go on the road. Every time you go on the road. 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. Darren wants to know, I wonder where all the fans are who doubted our defense after the Virginia game. Where are they now? Yeah, attention to detail. You know, this team, they strive on being great. Coach Venables, after the game on Saturday afternoon, said, look, these guys came down to breakfast, and every one of them had their bags packed. Speaking of the defense, they didn't have to go back up to their rooms and spend the 30 minutes or so that they allot for them to get packed up. They were ready to go. Instead, they watched film in preparation for that game against the Yellow Jackets. Maturity. It's the reason these guys didn't sit it out this year. It's why Clemson had 0 opt-outs. Maturity. The belief that they can win a national title. Maturity. Guys like Darian Rencher and Trevor Lawrence stepping up and saying, hey, we want to play. Maturity. Being leaders both on and off the field. Maturity. That's what Clemson's built in this program. William Qualkenbush joins us coming up around the bend. He's set to make his softball debut on social media tonight. We'll touch bases with him next.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A wreck on I-20 westbound near the North Main exit will slow you down a little bit. Also an accident Brookfield at Fish Hatchery. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line is 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by attorney Bill Green and the Green Team.
If you're in a wreck, you have enough to deal with these days. Call the Bill Green Law Firm. We're here to help.
2821 Millwood Avenue, Columbia, South Carolina.
Always think green when you collide. Call 771-2455. Here's another $1,000 grand in your hand winner.
Thank you. That's awesome. That's great.
Yes. Oh my God, this is so great. I needed this money, especially being cut back with my hours at work.
Dang, thank you so much. That's insane. Thank you so much. No way. I can't believe it, man. That's so cool. That's going to help me and my family out a lot. You guys have no idea.
Keep listening for 12 chances to win $1,000 every weekday on Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Lawton Swan here. And I know in sports, we're always talking about the big guy. Well, let me tell you, when you're buying a car, you don't need that. What you need to do is head down to Orangeburg to my good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. 4 generations of family-owned business right there at Ferry Chevrolet. No dock fees, no tricks, straightforward pricing in a low-pressure environment you'll love. Check them out online, ferrychevrolet.com, or call them 803-536-1600. It's Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac, just a short 30-minute drive off of exit 145A in Orangeburg.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
I'm Jamie Harrison, candidate for the United States Senate, and I approve this message.
Something's happening in South Carolina. Hope that things can get better. Faith that we can elect new leaders who put country before party. Belief that elections shouldn't be about right versus left, but about right versus wrong. That healing the sick, educating our children, and protecting each other should be what brings us together, not pulls us apart. That's what Jamie Harrison's life's been about. Faith, family, community. Putting politics aside to do what's right. Tell the truth. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Love thy neighbor. Those aren't Democratic or Republican values. They are South Carolina values.
and we need them now more than ever. Jamie Harrison for Senate.
Paid for by Jamie Harrison for U.S. Senate.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. So, who's going to do what? Flashlights?
Nowhere to be found.
Batteries?
Dead.
Great. Emergency supply kits?
Not packed.
What about blankets?
We have an old towel.
Good enough. Cell phones?
May not work.
Emergency water?
Not a drop.
And what about food?
Nope.
Perfect. We all know where we're meeting if we're separated, yeah?
The library. Aunt Joan's house. The bus stop.
Great. And I'll be waiting here wondering where you all are. Sounds like we don't have a plan. Who's up for mini golf?
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency. Who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. A public service announcement brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Fox Sports Radio 1400, WCOS Columbia, an iHeart radio station.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set.
Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
It is hour number 2. That's drive time right here on the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk. Our good buddy William Qualkenbush coming up right around the bend. Our engineer extraordinaire out of White Bear Lake, Minnesota, Clemson Larry, says audio is crystal clear on the iHeartRadio app. Thank you, Larry. And again, thank you to everybody listening to the program, not only in the Midlands, but in the PD and the Low Country. We are blessed to have you. We appreciate all of those of you who have come on board to support us on our website, where for just $63.17, that's right, I said it, Gamecock Nation, $63.17 gets you a year's worth of coverage. That's about $5.25 a month, roughly. It's about 18 cents a day. We'd love to have you. Come on board, show your support, get behind us, help us continue to grow. We cannot do it without you, believe me. We have radio sponsors, obviously. We have sponsors on the website. But one of the other things that we do bring to you is exclusive content that only you can get on ClemsonSportsTalk.com, and we'd love to have you join us as well. William Qualkenbush, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. William Qualkenbush has built up, I guess, quite the repertoire, if you will, when it comes to his softball prowess, or lack thereof. And he is going to be on the diamond tonight, playing a little softball. And apparently, Kelly Gramlich, his co-host, is going to be broadcasting that on social media or somewhere out there, perhaps on her Twitter account. So again, we'll join William Qualkenbush today to get his recap on Clemson's 73-7 victory this past weekend against Georgia Tech, which was clearly an impressive feat, but maybe not nearly as impressive a feat as William Qualkenbush's performance tonight on the diamond might have to be. Qualk, what's up?
Swanee, I can guarantee you that whatever Clemson did on Saturday, no matter what snap, the worst snap of the game, the best snap of the game, will be better and more consequential than my performance on the diamond tonight. I'll just go ahead and mark that down.
Well, I tweeted that you're replacing the Braves to give people their on the diamond entertainment, so we're expecting a lot out of you.
That's not great. You're telling me I got to wipe the tears of all the Braves fans for blowing a 3-1 lead? That's a lot of pressure, man. I don't have the talent for that. I'll just go ahead and tell you. I will be totally crushed and crippled under the weight of those expectations.
Speaking of crushed and crippled, the Clemson Tigers crushed the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets this weekend, 73-7. The last time Clemson put up 73 points, on the road in Atlanta against the Yellow Jackets. Let's see. They hired Clemson's head coach. I say sign the extension, get the deal done for Dabo.
Yeah, that I saw that a couple places on Twitter where some Georgia Tech folks were like, "That's the deal. You got to give us your coach now." That's how this works. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was one of those. It was just a game where everything went right for Clemson, at least for about the last 35 or 40 minutes. And you know, I was looking back at this a little more today, and it actually hit me in the middle of our show. You know, you look at the drive chart for Georgia Tech in the first half, and there are a lot of ways to contest a game, particularly when you're behind the eight ball from the outset. And Georgia Tech knew, I mean, they were 4-touchdown underdog. They knew that they did not have the Jimmies and Joes to go up against Clemson credibly if Clemson was playing well. But you look at the first half, Georgia Tech had the football 10 times. 10.
Yeah.
And not a single one of those drives lasted more than, I think it was a minute 53 or minute 57 seconds, something like that. When you're giving the ball back to Clemson that frequently, you're putting your defense back on the field that much. They're going to stumble into an abundance of points by accident. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about run up the score. Jeff Collins, I mean, he seemed to be not too broken up about it, but acknowledged that maybe there were some things that Dabo did that he didn't particularly care for. We're reading a little bit into comments, depending on which side you're on that, reading a little bit more in his comments than what he actually said there. What he said wasn't that bad. But to me, Jeff Collins, in trying to establish the us part, we're just going to be us, we're going to do what we want to do, instead of having a drive where they just try to move the chains and work the clock, they were running tempo. And so when you run tempo and go 3 and out, you just keep giving it back to Clemson, turn it over a couple times, and you can't stop them. Then you get what you get. And so that's sort of the way this thing happened, that Georgia Tech was very instrumental in its own demise to a great degree.
No, I think that's a fantastic point, Qualk, and it's one of the things that, kind of watching that game play out, I'm with you. I felt like, man, are you going to do anything to mitigate the clock and Clemson's possessions? And then once this Tiger team gets rolling, I think the other thing that's been so impressive to me is how quickly they can play, not just offensively, but defensively. And guys like Trenton Simpson and some other names that maybe people didn't know all that well coming into this game really jumped off of the screen at you, because it's like, holy cow, look at how quickly this guy's flying around to the football.
Well, it feels like a different guy every game, doesn't it? I mean, you had Andrew Booth a couple games ago, and now you've got Trenton Simpson. There just feels like always, Miles Murphy and Brian Brzee earlier this year. It just feels like there's always somebody that jumps off the screen at you that isn't expected in a game like this. And I think Trenton Simpson showed why there are some people that think he's the heir apparent to Isaiah Simmons. That's no disrespect to Mike Jones, but that's what Trenton Simpson came to Clemson to do, is to sort of fill that spot. And I think he did it pretty well, at least in mop-up duty. You're right. I mean, Clemson's ability to play fast, to me, is significant because it shows a couple different things. Number one, it shows the speed and athleticism that's in the program, that's recruited and developed in the program. Number two, it shows a level of comfort with the scheme that we don't see from a lot of programs, particularly on the defensive side. I think Clemson football tweeted out basically like no one's playing defense right now except Clemson, or in an era where no one's playing defense, Clemson is, or something like that. And it's true. It feels like nobody's playing defense. Even Georgia's defense is very, very good. Give up 500 yards against Alabama and look just totally incapable of stopping Alabama. Now, I'll also say this. There is no reason in the world to believe that Georgia Tech's offense is anywhere near Alabama's offense, let's say, or North Carolina's offense, or even an offense like Notre Dame's. It looks a little stodgy, but also has some decent playmaking ability and just sort of a solid foundation, underneath itself. But Clemson's defense looks up for the challenge if the challenge is about making plays in space, creating havoc, disrupting the line of scrimmage, mangling opposing blocking schemes. Clemson's done that the last 2 weeks as well as you could possibly expect it to, and I don't think there's any reason to expect that to wane anytime soon.
Man, it has been fun to watch, and Brent Venables is really a big catalyst to that. And the thing I think that's most impressive, Qualt, is that I believe, and maybe I'm wrong, but I believe his system is pretty complex. And so in order to play at the pace that these guys play and to do the things that they do and really understand it, it's not just about the physicality of the game. It's also about the mental focus and preparation. And Venables mentioned that, hey, when they were coming down, to get breakfast, every single defensive player had their bags packed, and that afforded them 30 extra minutes of prep for that Georgia Tech game. And again, that's prep for the Georgia Tech game. That says a lot about the maturity of this team.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, they've shown it through the sort of lockdown quarantine when we didn't know if we were going to play. They've shown it since practice started. They've shown it in the season. There's no doubt there's a level of maturity on this particular team that's uncommon. And I'll also say that you can play a little bit smarter when your default setting is fast and everybody's fast. And what I mean by that is, if you look, there are some times where you know for a fact, okay, because it just is what it is, that guys are out of position. You know that somebody's out of position. Somebody made the wrong read. Somebody's not being eye disciplined. We know that because after 5-yard losses, everybody's celebrating, and Brent Venables is grabbing some dude's collar and just laying into him for something he didn't do, right? And so Clemson's the kind of team that you can't afford for – now, this is going to sound bad. This is going to sound like I'm being passive. I'm giving Clemson a pass and saying they can get away with stuff. That's not really what I'm saying. But when you have guys flying around like that, if you got 9 dudes that are flying to the right spot and 2 dudes who are flying to the wrong spot, particularly against teams that don't have the team speed and the personnel that you have, on your side of the ball, you can recover. I mean, there are a couple times that somebody didn't set the edge right, but they were able to wait the block and get out there and set the edge correctly before the play got there. That's just the luxury that Clemson has. And so that's another reason why it was important for Dabo to, and he sort of said, to reinforce this team, when you get out of the locker room, it's 52-7, but we need our backups to play better because they were getting away with stuff or trying to get away with stuff, and it wasn't a clean performance. The fact that you got a bunch of dudes who probably knew that it was going to be, you got Sims is a talent. I mean, Sims is fantastic. Gibbs could play for Clemson. I don't think there's any question about that. But it's not a team that's overwhelming with athleticism. It's not a team that's overwhelming with recruiting stars and things like that. But to know that they wanted that extra 30 minutes, I think that gives you a little bit of insight into the hunger and the mentality and the maturity of this defense. And when you have that type of approach, it's hard to go away from that because you would have thought if you were going to be susceptible to falling short of that standard of preparation, after Miami would be a chance to do that. Instead, it seems like they maybe cranked it up another notch, which that should be kind of frightening for a lot of people around the country.
No kidding. All right, Qualt, let's turn our attention. By the way, follow him on Twitter at Qualt Talk. And again, tonight, I'm predicting he goes 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and maybe hits the wall with one. Maybe hits the wall with one of his plate appearances. So put some heat on him. Qualt, let's turn our attention to South Carolina and Auburn real quick because that game flummoxed me, and I think that's the right word. I honestly thought Auburn would come in. I thought they'd dominate the game defensively because I really don't trust South Carolina's offense. And then I just kind of thought that Bo Nix was better than what I saw this past Saturday. I guess I need to watch more Bo Nix tape because that was ugly.
The more people are watching Bo Nix this year, particularly given the expectations of bringing Chad Morris in to get more of a downfield threat in the passing game. You've got one of the probably 5 fastest receivers in the country. And, oh, by the way, you have Seth Williams, who's a very good technically sound receiver, a potential first-round pick. You're looking at these weapons going, okay, Bo Nix can definitely, he can definitely acquit himself well given all the things that are around him, the apparatus around him to be successful. And yet when you watch guys like Jordan Palmer and guys like David Pollock and guys who are breaking down the film, when they talk about Bo Nix, they are saying things that are really alarming, like Bo Nix is not being equipped to handle changes and shifts in the defense. Bo Nix is not being given the tools to succeed at the line of scrimmage. They're not scripting answers into their offense. It seems a little bit like Gus Malzahn and Chad Morris are a little more enamored with making the right play call and making sure that everybody knows their play call is correct than giving their quarterback a chance to succeed. And I'll also say this. Auburn's got pretty good players on the outside, but when you go up against guys like South Carolina's corners, like J.C. Horn, I mean, like those dudes can play. That secondary is good. And I felt like that played right into South Carolina's hands. This is a Gamecock team that if you are, if you've got a dominant offensive line, if you can move the line of scrimmage a little bit, you can do that. They're not going to much stop you, even with all the recruiting stars that are available there on that line of scrimmage. So to me, if Auburn had a better offensive line, if they had a more cohesive plan offensively, then they could have been able to do a little more damage. I also think that would have helped them to keep their defense off the field a little bit.
Okay.
I still think South Carolina's offense is way too safe, and but it worked in this game because Bo Nix was even less threatening than Colin Hill, and that's saying something.
That was something. I thought Colin Hill was a steadying hand for South Carolina in a game that maybe, if they didn't have his experience, may have gotten away from them a little bit. But, man, I tell you, that was a huge win for Gamecock Nation. Peeking over the fence and hanging out with us today, William Qualkenbush. You know his voice, 105.5 The Roar. Of course, everything he does with Clemson on the post-game show, college baseball, basketball, man, he's everywhere. All right, Qual, let's take a look at the SEC real quick and the Georgia-Alabama game from this past Saturday briefly here. We got a few more minutes with you. My takeaway from that game is Stetson Bennett is not a top quarterback in college football. If he's got to be Georgia's guy, they're in big trouble. And then I think my second takeaway is that Alabama certainly has skill at wide receiver. Mac Jones looks the part, so to speak. They got stupid numbers that look like LSU from a year ago. But I'm still not sold on that Crimson Tide offense. I'll be honest with you. So a couple of takes there. Your thoughts?
Well, the first thing was Stetson Bennett. I mean, I felt like he was put in a position to fail from the jump against Alabama. Part of it is the scheme defensively that Alabama kept him in the pocket. To me, if you got a guy that's 5'10" against that front, and particularly with his offensive line, the first key of the game is you got to move the pocket. You got to either roll him out on naked or you got to move the pocket. They were unable to do that, and so you got the equivalent of, a toddler trying to see what's on the dinner table. I mean, that's basically what Stetson Bennett was on Saturday night. He had 4 or 5 balls batted down at the line of scrimmage just for that reason. And then you see that in a game, and I kept wondering, okay, why is Kirby Smart looking at Stetson Bennett? You look at your receivers and how fine and nice they are. You got an offensive line that's really handling business against Alabama. You've got this stable of running backs that's very good. Your offensive DNA says you're going to run the football. Why does Stetson Bennett throw 40 passes and your team run 30 times? The game script didn't get away until later. It'd be one thing if it was 21-3 from the jump and Alabama was way up. But Georgia's leading the game at halftime, and you threw more than you ran.
Right.
Alabama should be a team that throws more than it runs with Waddle and Smith and these guys out on the outside. But 32 passes for Mac Jones, 31 carries for Najee Harris. They were the balanced offense. And Georgia's the one that's asking their quarterback, who's 5'10", to drop back 40 times and win them a game. Nobody ever thought Stetson Bennett was good enough to beat Alabama by himself. That was going to have to be a collective effort. And I felt like the Todd Monken, Kirby Smart brain trust did not allow Stetson Bennett to win the game in a comfortable way for him. Alabama was able to do that for Mac Jones and able to settle him in with play action and able to put him in better positions to be successful. So I think that's number one. Number two, I'm going to disagree about Alabama's offense. To me, the Waddle-Smith combination is as good as there is in the country. I'd put them up there with North Carolina's guys just in terms of how good they are. And I thought the way that they contested the game was brilliant because I still think, Kelly and I talked about this today, I still think Georgia's defense is really good. They just didn't look special against that team. Now, I think Clemson could put up 40 on them. I think if you're asking me, are they the best offense in the country? Maybe by a hair over Clemson right now, but not a significant difference. And I would dare say that the way they attacked Georgia was less diverse and less complete and less keep you off balance than what Clemson's been doing to attack down the field. So I thought that Alabama uses playmakers really well. But I think Clemson's scheme is a little better than Alabama's right now on the offensive side.
I love Najee Harris, but I thought the 92-yard touchdown, that one just to me was one of those kind of dumb luck, drop back and get after it. The DB slipped. I don't know, and I'm not really sold on Mac Jones, but still, hey, they got the dub. They put up 40-plus points on Georgia and look pretty good doing it. We'll see what happens though when they face maybe a bigger contender on the defensive side. I don't know if they will. Everybody's built up Georgia so much, but I don't know. Maybe my takeaway comes more from Georgia than Alabama per se on what I feel about the Crimson Tide, Qualt. But we'll see. Hey, buddy, listen, it's always good to talk to you. We got pro football on right now, Kansas City and Buffalo, 5 o'clock on a Monday. That's what I'm talking about. Enjoy the baseball game tonight.
Yeah, man,
the softball,
enjoy
Qualt.
that.
Yeah, we want a report on that softball, buddy. We want to know how it goes.
Hey, at Kelly Graham, look on Twitter. I don't know what nonsense she's going to do. She's got something planned. I'm sure it'll be shenanigans.
All right, I want a couple of hits, at least one to the fence. You got me? You got me, kid?
Oh, man. I'll give you number 1. I don't know about number 2. I hadn't listed very much in the last few months. We'll
All right, buddy. Take care, man. William Qualkenbush here, hanging out with us on the show that shakes us out. Got to pump some iron. All right, when we get back, we'll hear from Dabo Swinney. Stay with us.
Here's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword cash to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's cash to 200-200.
Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A wreck on I-20 westbound near the North Main exit will slow you down a little bit. Also an accident in Brookfield at Fish Hatchery. The 103.5 FM WVOC traffic tip line is 343-1055.
This report is sponsored by Prisma Health. At Prisma Health, they are making healthcare exceptional for everyone across the Midlands and upstate. With more access to care, research innovations, and patient education, they're committed to helping you be your healthiest you. Learn more at prismahealth.org/inspired.
For 28 years, the professional staff of the Hobbs Group and Hobbs Group Advisors has been dedicated to helping others achieve their financial goals by delivering quality, objective financial and accounting solutions to a diverse client base of individuals and businesses all over South Carolina. We offer tax and audit services, bookkeeping, payroll, litigation support, employee benefits, personal financial planning, investment management, and insurance services. Please call us at 803-799-0555 or visit our website, hobbscpa.com, to learn more about our people and services.
Many people never believe that they will need a lawyer to help them navigate our legal system. Then one day, you need just that. When you've been injured, the deck is stacked against you, and you need an advocate to stand up for your rights. William Alexander focuses his practice on assisting those who have been injured in car wrecks and other personal injuries, helping you get your life back on track. Call today for your case strategy, 803-571-0039, or visit them online, whalawoffice.com. The Law Office of William H. Alexander is licensed in South Carolina and Georgia. Principally located at 222 Main Street in Barnwell.
For all your plumbing problems and needs, On-Call Plumbing, Heating, and Air is here to help. Available 24/7 to serve you with trained technicians, not trained salespeople. Whether your plumbing job is large or small, it's the right job for On-Call. Receive installations, repairs, and everything in between from the company you can trust to do it right. On-Call is your locally owned and operated plumbing company. Go to OnCallSC.com.
On-Call Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Pick up the phone and we'll be right there. Call 781-HELP.
Adopters Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends. B, console her. Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married. C, take charge. Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye. Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
A message from Food Addicts in Recovery Anonymous.
I came to Food Addicts in Recovery Anonymous overweight and depressed. I was dieting, binging, stealing food, and lying about it for years.
For help, call 781-932-6300 or visit foodaddicts.org.
I knew I had a weight problem. I didn't know I was addicted to food.
The FA program gave me a healthy body. I'm free from obsessing about my weight or food.
Call FA 781-932-6300 or visit us on our website at foodaddicts.org.
Stay on top of today's pop culture. Ace and TJ Mornings and today's hit music all day on 104.7 WNOK.
Boom, boom, boom. The show that shakes the Southland. Lawton Swan, glad to be back with you. 0-0 Bills, Chiefs, 5 o'clock football. That's 2 o'clock football for our buddy Jonathan Rifkin on a Monday. How about that? They have 5 o'clock football, I guess, all the time on the West Coast. So before we get to Dabo Swinney, I do want to clarify my statement about Alabama real quick. Again, so watching that game on Saturday, 20 to, what was the score at the half? 24-20 at the half, and really, Georgia's defense. I mean, come on. You're up 24 to, 14, I think, at one time. And then, let's see, 24 to 17. It was 17 all. Georgia scored with 23 seconds left. With 23 seconds left. Yet you allow Alabama to maneuver 5 plays, 41 yards to get a field goal before the break to make it 24-20. That, to me, is less about Alabama, more about Georgia. Then, in the third quarter, now down by, 4 instead of 7, 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. Alabama over the top, the 92-yard play. And really, at that point, I've not yet been impressed with the Crimson Tide. They tackle 92 yards or 91 yards to Waddle, take the lead, and really never look back. My biggest concern of all watching that game, because honest to goodness, if Georgia had an offense, I don't know that Alabama wins that game. Georgia couldn't do diddly in the second half offensively. They were awful. Alabama, Najee Harris may be the one scary part of this. He feels a little like Derrick Henry. He feels a little like Scarborough a couple of years ago. 31 carries, 152 yards and a score. Controlled the game on the ground. But that matchup, that game, I did not walk away going, boy, I'll tell you what, that Alabama, that offense. I didn't get that. I thought it was a busted play where the guy slipped, changing the momentum. And honestly, Mac Jones, I think if he's pressured, and I think if he's not pressured, I mean, if the DBs don't, I don't know. I'm not sold on the Crimson Tide just yet. And I know people probably say the same thing about Clemson. But that's just, that is what it is. Devonta Smith with an incredible touchdown reception in the back of the end zone. You can't deny that at all. Came back for his senior year. He and Waddle are both awesome. But I'm still skeptical of Mac Jones. And I don't know if they would be able to keep up with Ohio State in a shootout or Clemson in a shootout. That's where I'm at. Georgia's offense in the tank, and maybe that may have led to why the defense gave up, well, I can't say the second half long bomb, but maybe that's why it just sort of got away from the Bulldogs. 803-450-0086. Again, the Clemson Tigers this weekend will take on Syracuse at noon in Death Valley. The news also came out earlier today that the Clemson Tigers will kick things off at noon against Boston College. So back to back to back nooners for the Clemson Tigers. I know that won't go over well with a lot of fans, but I can tell you, during this COVID-19 college football season, small number of fans in attendance at these ball games, I think it goes over better than it would have traditionally. So, again, noon this past weekend against Georgia Tech. Dabo Swinney saying after the game that this is a statement game based off of coming off of a top 10 matchup against Miami, a noon kickoff. Well, Clemson's noon against the Syracuse team that lost to Liberty this past weekend, then noon the following weekend against Boston College. So 3 straight noon kickoffs for Clemson. Also, incredibly and sadly, this weekend, Clemson crosses over into the back half of their schedule, playing their 6th game of the campaign. Yep, 6 games in, Clemson moves into the back half of their 11-game regular season schedule. So frowny face on that front as the first 5 have gone by in a blink. And again, Clemson with a chance to move to 6-0 this weekend against Syracuse at noon. Dabo Swinney was talking yesterday afternoon as well about Trevor Lawrence and Lawrence's play in that Georgia Tech game. And we gave you the stats a few minutes ago, 404 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. Could have probably thrown for 8 or 9 touchdowns, maybe 10. Here's what Coach Swinney had to say about Big Trev, the giant killer.
You know, Trevor was amazing. He was 75%. I loved how he responded to a mistake, but probably to me the stat of the game for us offensively is we played 4 quarterbacks and 17 different guys caught a pass. And we were 33 of 49 for 67% with 4 quarterbacks, one of them being our punter. And to me, that speaks to the preparation. And that's what I'm most proud of, is just so many guys preparing for an opportunity. And when they get it, they went in there and they played well. 8 of 8 in the red zone.
Dabo Swinney talking about Clemson's efficiency on the road in Atlanta this past weekend against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, against 17 receivers having receptions in that ball game, in that 73-7 victory. All right, let's check it out. Alex says, great show as always. Alex, I think the past 5 or 6 minutes have been subpar for me personally, but I'm going to pick it up just for you, buddy. Mike says, Clemson, woo, woo. Mike, you know what? I love any woo references at all.
And I'm saying, woo, right here.
Thank you.
Woo!
Thank you very much. Nate. Thank you, Mike. 803-450-0086. You can text us anytime that you would like. Again, Lawrence, tremendous. Last week, coming off of the Miami game, the conversations we had were, was this Travis Etienne's coming out party for the Heisman Trophy? Well, was that Lawrence's coming out party? And honestly, I think this is where the toughest, it's going to be really tough for a guy like, really, I think anybody, Justin Fields included. You picked the guy, but Justin Fields more specifically, I think it's going to be very tough for him to make a run at the Heisman Trophy, because no matter how impressive he is, stats across the board, he's going to trail Trevor Lawrence. And to try to run him down with the amount of games and everything is, I don't think they're going to look at it by a per game basis. And I think that Lawrence is probably the front runner at this point, and we'll most likely hold on to that. We'll wrap up some conversations with Coach Swinney when we get back.
When a community grows, its hospital should grow too. And that's just what we're doing at Lexington Medical Center. We recently launched the largest hospital expansion project in South Carolina history. Our new 10-story patient tower will help us take better care of patients, including the tiniest infants who need special attention. It will also make room for the growing number of patients who need surgery and intensive care. At Lexington Medical Center, our mission to serve our community never wavers. We're here when you need us today, and we'll be there when you need us tomorrow.
Hi, it's Gary David. Are you or a loved one beginning to find it more difficult to get around your home? If so, All Medical can help. They offer everything from grab bars and ramps to home elevators and walk-in tubs. Call for a free in-home customized valuation, and for a limited time, get $200 off any straight or curved stair lift, or $100 off any scooter or chair lift. 803-779-2011. See them online at allmedicalinc.com or visit them in their showroom next to Brooklyn Baptist Church in West Columbia. Quality of life is what they're all about.
Don't compromise, mobilize with All Medical.
Hi, I'm Elaine
Alicia Kaufman Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
Here's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword cash to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's cash to 200-200.
This is Colin Coward. Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network presented by Mercedes-AMG. The Bucs blew out the Packers on Sunday, and the loss was all too familiar for Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay was undefeated, healthy, coming off a bye up 10-0. Then the wheels fall off. Everything with Aaron comes down to comfort. When things are good, he's got a lead, he's great. But when the going gets tough, he checks out, doesn't fight back. Great talent, but not a guy I want in my foxhole. This is the new Packers reality, and the new nickname, Runaway Rodgers, is perfect for him. I'm Colin Coward. Do you suffer from lead foot? Do goosebumps appear for no reason? Stop living with uninspired performance. Visit MBUSA.com/AMG and find out if a Mercedes-AMG Coupe, sedan, or SUV is right for you. Mercedes-AMG, driving performance.
20 years, 6 Super Bowl championships. The New England Patriots of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are the greatest dynasty in NFL history. I'm Gary Myers. Join me for a new podcast, The GOAT, Tom Brady, where I pull back the curtain on the greatest run of sustained success by one player and one team in NFL history. The GOAT, Tom Brady, is available now. Listen and follow on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
The American Red Cross urgently needs blood and platelet donations and asks donors to schedule an appointment to give now. Every 2 seconds, someone in the United States needs blood. Your blood donation is critical and can help save lives. Please, schedule an appointment today. Download the Blood Donor app, visit redcrossblood.org, or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. You can make a difference.
Type 2 diabetes is a serious chronic health threat in America. It affects tens of millions of people. Many people who have the disease don't know it. Diabetes can cause health problems such as heart disease, strokes, amputations, and blindness. Talk to your doctor, get screened if you're at risk, and learn how to avoid becoming one of the millions of new cases of diabetes each year. You can help prevent type 2 diabetes. A message from CDC and HHS.
It's sports radio done only the way Fox can do it.
Always something to talk about. There's always controversy. And
You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Here in your car, my car, everybody's car, hanging out with us, the show that shakes the Southland, Lawton Swan. Honk at your neighbor, tell them to listen to us. Tune it in. Fox Sports Radio 1400, Sports Radio 100.1, The Fan, 920 a.m. in Manning. All right, so listening to Dabo Swinney a few minutes ago again, it just speaks to this team and their preparation and their ability to grow through a willingness to play more and more plays. Like you look at 73-7 and people go, man, why'd you guys run the scoreboard? I'm like, the punter was playing quarterback. A lot of people don't know that. The punter played quarterback. They didn't even play the second string quarterback because his shoulder was stiff. They skipped right to Pumbachan. He breaks a finger. Surgery went well, according to Tyson's Twitter account. And then you go with Hunter Helms from Gray Collegiate Academy in the Midlands of South Carolina. Kid probably none of you could pick out of a lineup. I could. You couldn't. And you still score a couple of touchdowns. You got backups everywhere. You played 79 out of 80 people. You improved your depth. You obliterated a Power 5 team. We could go on and on and on about what happened in that ball game for Clemson and just the advantages that it gives Clemson moving forward. And I know that's a disappointing loss for Georgia Tech, a major setback for that program. But as one of the writers from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution said, Clemson's from like another stratosphere. They're the measuring stick. They're not even really a team that you can compete with. They're just sort of the guide. They're the gauge. You just kind of look at them and go, well, that's what it's like to be on top of it. As a matter of fact, that same writer said something to the effect of, they were the number one team in the country, and when they left, it felt like there should be a better rating. There should be a better rating. One of the things that has cropped up for the Clemson Tigers over the past couple of weeks, though, is drops, especially for Frank Ladson. And Ladson is a young wide receiver still trying to learn the game. And here's what Coach Sweeney had to say about those drops.
No, it's just, it always depends on who it is and what type of drop it is and all those type of things. But it's really been the, same play for him, basically. It's just repetition. It just becomes, it's like, a good hitter, having a little bit of a slump. We went through that with Mike Williams. You remember Mike Williams, the year he came back, after his injury, he dropped 2 or 3 touchdowns in the first game again down there at Auburn, and had a couple more drops, a couple games, but then he kind of settled back in. And Frank's and he was a veteran player, but different deal. He was kind of getting back into the playing situation and getting his confidence back. And Frank's a young player playing a big role for the first time. Has done well. He's going to be awesome, but it's just repetition. It's just, you just get back in the batter's box and you rep that particular play, because it's really been the same play. It's really been the over-the-shoulder ball.
And that over-the-shoulder ball has been the one that's really been his bugaboo, sort of falling right between his hands. And even if you go back and watch some of the other receptions that he's had on similar plays, still doesn't seem to have that same level of confidence that I think you would like to see from a guy who's going to be targeted as much as he is, especially right now with a guy like Joseph Ngata not nearly playing at the level that you'd like to see him playing, especially given his health. No Justin Ross. Amari Rogers is playing out of his mind, but that means Ladson, in lieu of a tight end showing up, has to be your big number 2, your chief number 2, in my opinion, the guy that you trust the most. And right now, that trust on the deep ball over the top would be wavering a little bit. We mentioned Hunter Helms earlier. Double H. Hunter Helms at number 2 potentially for the Clemson Tigers this week if DJ shoulder still bothering him. Pumachan obviously not going to be ready to go. So when he was asked, how would he feel if that were the case?
It wouldn't really matter how I feel about it. We'd have, that's, we just, what we got, we just have to go play the game. So it wouldn't matter how we felt, good or bad. You go play with who you got. But he's a great kid to have. I'm really, proud of him. He's a guy that's got some potential. If he'll continue to develop and learn. And I was just proud of him for, not getting a lot of reps, but being able to go function. And that's a credit to him and how he has prepared in the meetings and studied. And that's something we talk about all the time, because obviously he doesn't get a lot of reps. All of a sudden he's we're not going to play. Our intention was to not play DJ. So the game was under control. So, he got a chance to get in there a little earlier than he would have with Tyson getting his hand hurt. But it was just great to see. You went out and, you prepare for your opportunity. You don't know if you're going to get it, but he was ready and he did a heck of a job for us. That'll be great for his confidence.
And, of course, Hunter was a late addition to Clemson's recruiting class. We covered him over on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Had a chance to maybe even go play for Jeff Scott down at South Florida, but chose to come to Clemson and chose to be a part of what the Tigers have built. He's been a Clemson Tiger pretty much his entire life growing up, and his father's a former football coach, so he knows the game. And for Clemson to be able to get him in and get him those quality reps against Georgia Tech, that was a big deal. And to build some confidence. And also, it's one thing to be out there. It's another thing to feel like you contributed, and he really got a chance to contribute, maybe even more so than Tyson Pumachan. I would be honest. Tyson did not look spectacular, continuing to really struggle throwing the football, even before his injury. And so if that's got to be your number two, that's got to be your number two. So when you kind of chuckled about it. Now, another kid that we mentioned who looked really sharp was Trenton Simpson. He's been getting a lot of love over the past 24, 48 hours. I like this kid. Got a late offer from Clemson, 5-star kid out of Mallard Creek High School in Charlotte, committed to the Tigers on the spot. And I think that fact is important to this young man's development as a player, because I believe he appreciates, perhaps as much as anybody, being a part of this Clemson program. Marion chimed into the program. I'd like to know what this is about. He says, what a novel concept, a sports talk show that actually talks sports. I tuned in whenever possible. Love the show. Thank you, Marion. We appreciate it. We got to hit a break. We'll come back. We'll hear from Dabo Swinney. We'll put a big old bow on the show.
If you want to get your business on the radio and you don't need help from a professional, you really need to check out iHeartAdBuilder.com. Not only is it extremely affordable, online, customizable, and heard by 9 out of 10 Americans every month, it's just so easy. You can even make your own radio ad all from your smartphone, wherever you are. Click, listen, approve, and get your ad on air. Get started today at iHeartAdBuilder.com. That's iHeartAdBuilder.com.
Hey, golfers. Have you been to the golf capital of the world yet? Myrtle Beach Golf offers a variety of custom packages featuring nearly 80 courses. Golfers have the option to create the exact experience they're looking for. Plus, Myrtle Beach Golf provides top-notch accommodations with over 15 resorts, all guaranteed to be a hole-in-one. Come join us for a short drive away in Myrtle Beach for your best golf trip by par. Book now at myrtlebeachgolf.com.
If you've been waiting for a sign to know when it's time to buy a new home, here it is. Great Southern Homes Mad Money Extravaganza. Receive up to $10,000 in incentives on select homes. Visit greatsouthernhomes.com, find your new home, and talk to a new home community representative to discover the amount of mad money on the home you've longed for. But hurry, you must close on your new home by December 31st, 2020. Make your dream home a reality with Mad Money Extravaganza at greatsouthernhomes.com.
Hey, this is Ray.
And Marianne with Absolute Glass.
We would like to thank Lexington for voting us Best Glass Shop in Lexington for 10 years in a row.
Absolute Glass specializes in high-end auto glass replacement and repair.
We also do home windows,
patio doors,
tabletops,
shower doors,
mirrors,
storefronts,
and decorative glass.
Find us online at absoluteglassinc.com.
And remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Oh, it's doing great. I've been on it now for about 3.5 years. I've lost 67 pounds, and I feel better than I did at age 40. I'm just getting older. That's the only thing that doesn't stop. Other than that, I feel good.
Listen, we're all getting older, but that doesn't mean you have to feel your age. Are you ready to turn back the clock? It's 2020, and there's never been a better time to start looking and feeling young again. Introducing Andro400.com. Andro400.com has proven solutions to help melt belly fat, increase mood and memory, increase energy, and bring that spark back to your love life. Visit Andro400.com or call 888-400-0435 to see which product is right for you. Try the safe and natural way to start feeling and looking your best. And there's nothing to lose with an industry-leading 90-day money-back guarantee. Visit Andro400.com or call 888-400-0435.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members, of their families or their children, asking them to deploy, patrol, stay on watch, on point, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to bring them all the way home, to keep them secure, to have their backs for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs do whatever it takes to help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Find out how you can help at findwwp.org.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeart radio station.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Final segment on a Monday, the recap of 73-17. Sign the extension. Sign it. Don't let Dabo go anywhere. Not to Georgia Tech. Not even for a portion of the gate. Isn't that incredible? 117 years ago, Clemson beat Georgia Tech 73-7. They then went on a run. Boom, just hammering Clemson after an 11-11 tie in 1904. And then Saturday happened. People don't like it when you're really good.
Not only are you a hot dog, a grandstander, a showboat, and a prima donna, but you're a liar, too.
No, that's the truth. People don't like you when you're good. That's the truth. I'm still digging in on this comment from Marion a little bit. Marion, I need context. If you don't want to put it on the post, you should hit me up. Just shoot me a message, Marion. I'd love to hear what sports talk you're listening to that in the middle of college football season, in the middle of a pandemic, is not talking sports. Hit me up. I'd like to know about it. My sister would like to know that I update any info on DJ. Ooh-wee. Do we have an update on Uiagalelei? Nothing. I mean, nobody really expounded on anything outside of just a soreness in his shoulder. Chose to hold him out. Could have played him in a pinch. I think absolutely would play him if they had to play him this weekend, next weekend. Based on what we've been told, I have not heard that it's anything that would make it where you're like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Not have to worry about going out there with Double H, Hunter Helms. All right. If you don't get that reference, you need more WWE in your life, especially old school WWE. Trenton Simpson was flying all over the field. If you did not know his name prior to yesterday or prior to Saturday, what a ball player. The former 5-star defensive back out of Mallard Creek High School up in Charlotte, North Carolina. Speaking of Charlotte, North Carolina, by the way, a little recruiting update for you. This news came out a little bit earlier. You can read about it on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. And got a couple of other things to get up today, including all the interviews from earlier today. 5-star running back Will Shipley announced that he will enroll early. He'll come in December. And again, for Clemson, following the loss of DeMarcus Bowman, who transferred out to go to Florida, that's some welcome news. Shipley at Weddington High School up in Charlotte. One of the top all-purpose backs in the country, if not the top all-purpose back. Will give Clemson a combo back out of the backfield. Catch the ball, run with the ball. Christian McCaffrey-esque, maybe a fair or an unfair comparison, depending on how you feel about it. But Trenton Simpson's a young man out of the state of North Carolina who is mighty impressive on the gridiron. Here's what Dabo Swinney had to say about the freshman linebacker.
Yeah, he jumped off at you because he's making all the tackles. I mean, easy to notice that guy. He's going to be a great one. He's just he's just an awesome kid, first of all, and he's so coachable. He's about his business, he's incredibly focused, never says a word. He just works. But, you know, he's a guy that you know, we just noticed a lot in camp, and, you know, still a lot to learn. And, you know, Brent's done a nice job of giving him, you know, some things this week that really felt like could go execute. And I mean, he's just a natural. He's a natural tackler. He's an explosive kid. He can run. He's a really good pass rusher. I mean, he's just got great instincts for the game. But he got 22 snaps, and you know, just most snaps he's gotten. And you know, I think he's a guy that, you know, as the season goes, you're going to continue to see him, you know, mixed in there along the way as his confidence keeps growing. But he's an explosive player. Got a lot of gifts, a lot of tools. You know, super excited we got him. I'll guarantee you that. It's going to be a great one for us.
Dabo Swinney talking about Trenton Simpson, the 5-star linebacker. Again, full audio for our premium subscribers, ClemsonSportsTalk.com, where just $63.17 get you a full year of coverage. Come in, help us subscribe. You know, I've jokingly in the past thought to myself, you know, what I ought to do is have a promo where we say, all right, whatever Clemson scores in the next game for 1 week, that'll be our price. I mean, you know, if Clemson wins 3-0, get in for a year for $3 a piece. Except for last weekend where the price would have actually gone up. You guys would be like, oh, what? What do you mean it's gone up to $73.07? What kind of promo is that, Swanee? That's up $10. 63-17. You know the number all too well. Puts a smile on your face every time you hear it. Gamecock fans can't stand it. It may be the singular number in Clemson football history that will last an eternity in that rivalry. For whatever reason, it feels better than 56-7. 63-17. That gets you a year of Clemson Sports Talk. All right, we got to get out of here, but the work continues. Plenty of articles coming. Our man Trey Stewart is hammering them out. You're going to love his work if you haven't read it yet. Plus, we've got all the interviews from today coming up shortly over on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Until tomorrow, as always, y'all take care now, and go Tigers.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Now, Columbia's most dependable traffic, sponsored by Pope Davis Tire and Automotive, home of the best tire prices in Columbia, guaranteed. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
A wreck on Broad River